Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome. We have a great show for you tonight, and I am excited to bring the authors in to the conversation that will make a difference in your life with the third book of the All Things Wellness series. We're going to talk about that and to our authors in just a few minutes. But first, let me just start by telling you that Conversations That Make a Difference airs every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. with live call-in shows on the first and third Tuesday of the month. Now, I realize that this is not the first Tuesday. I did this on purpose so that we could have these people here just before the new book enters the world of Amazon. So you can find Dream Vision 7 Radio Network online, mobile, in your cars, on YouTube, and by asking Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. So get your apps and learn more about the full schedule on dreamvision7radio.com. Now, for those of you who have been listening to me for a while, you know we always start with the Serenity Prayer. So let's do that before we start our conversations with our authors. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I also want to say that it is by God's grace that we are fabulous, blessed, and highly favored, living in our greatness, using our gifts and talents, making a difference in the lives of others with passion and purpose, and all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And together we gratefully say, amen. Amen. So let me tell you about this crew that we have here. Let's start with Dr. Markus Wettstein. He's practiced endocrinology for over 30 years. He's a diabetes, metabolic, and stress management specialist. He also works in energy medicine as a licensed BioWell practitioner. He assists clients in improving their health and wellness by measuring their energy field, stress level, health status, and energy reserve via electrophotonic imaging. He lives in Colorado with his wife, has 3 children, and enjoys skiing and hiking. Welcome, Dr. Markus.
Well, thank you, Teresa, for the beautiful introduction.
You're welcome. I'm always happy to have a conversation with you. We have Martariesa, our beautiful Martariesa Logue, who is, her journey encompasses a blend of online and traditional education. She has a bachelor's in paralegal studies from Liberty University. She's an educator in Eastern Gateway Community College. She transitioned from Virtual Learning Academy to the intricacies of the Jefferson health plan and background checks, described as conscientious, dedicated, and possessing a tenacious drive. All true. Martaresa's commitment to exceeding expectations shines through. Endorsed by former mentors and colleagues, she embodies a proactive approach to problem solving and a knack for listening intently. Beyond her professional endeavors, Martariesa embraces the joys of family life, having married her husband in 2023 and cherished moments with her daughter and 2 Beagle pups. Her involvement with Impact Church and the Sycamore Youth and Community Center reflects her deep-rooted engagement in community service, showcasing her altruistic spirit beyond the corporate realm. Martariesa, welcome. And I have to tell you, the forward, oh my Lord Jesus, that's all I can say. It is
Thank you so much for that.
So good, so good, so good.
Thank
Michelle,
you, guys.
Say there, Michelle, if you can come on camera, that would be great. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Good to see you. Michelle is an extraordinary individual who wears many hats: mom, author, speaker, artist, and grandmother. She's an inspiring thought leader and advocate for the different, for the different, to bring to life a lens of ability, light, and hope, sprinkled with compassion and acceptance. Her place is to inspire and lift others in their moments when they can re-engage in life with joy. I love that. I love that. Welcome, Michelle. Nice to meet you. And we'll get to everybody individually in a minute. I just wanted to welcome you in. And Cyndi Wilkins practices the art and science of therapeutic massage and energetic bodywork for nearly 20 years. She has a passion for writing, blogging, and blazing new trails of innovative thinking. Her approach to healing is recognizing the mind and body function as one system. She believes in the co-creation of health, reinforcing mind, body, and spirit to explore the root causes of discomfort and disease. She shares her stories across multiple platforms as a featured contributor for Biz Catalyst 360 and award-winning Global Media Digest, and guest blogger for All Things Wellness. She lives in Marblehead, Massachusetts with her wife and their beautiful daughter and pandemic pets. I love that. Kina and Luna. Those are cats, yes?
One dog, one cat.
One dog, one cat. Welcome,
All
Cyndi.
girls.
So good to see
All
you.
girls.
All girls. Whole house full of girls. Okay. That can be good. And then sometimes it can be very challenging. Yes. Okay. So we are all here today because we're talking about the book series, All Things Wellness. So those of you who have been listening to my show for a while, we're here when we launched the first book, The Fourfold Formula for All Things Wellness. This was in 22. And then in 23, when the Wellness War came out, We Are Responsible. And now I'm happy to announce that on the 18th, we are launching, ta-da, All Things Wellness. Wellness G.P.S, Get Prepared for Success for All Things Wellness. And these are true stories. All of these are true stories in these books. And these authors have bared their soul, their heart and soul to the world. And it's just amazing to me to have been part of this incredible trilogy. Markus.
Yes.
I have to say this, you are not the same person today as when this was started. So what does this All Things Wellness mean to you?
One word, empowerment, honestly. That's basically wraps it up. The starter of the three-part series here, the Fourfold Formula, is basically a getting to know yourself type of idea. And we wrap that into the Wellness Wheel. As you know, there's a workbook for that now out as well. So that people that want to take a deep dive into who am I, that would be a very good start. The second book, Wellness, Win the Wellness War, is basically to drive home the fact that this isn't coming easy. You have to have the will, the tenacity, and the drive to get to where you need to go. And for most people, unfortunately, it's the opposing force, I would call, in this war that is trying to stifle our attempts to self-discover and get to that self-empowerment that we need. The third book then here is Wellness G.P.S. We all have our goals, hopefully. Some of us are drifters, but even when you're drifting, you have a lot of goals from day to day. So I would not give up on anybody in this regard. But the Wellness G.P.S. gives you the idea that you need to employ tools if you want to achieve your goals. And that might be your own personal changes, and you have the tools to be able to get that accomplished, and changing your environment to your favor. A lot of people are stuck in a situation that is unhealthy, and there's lots of authors giving you ideas on how to get your way through that. And
Mhm.
that is the beauty about the whole series. We now have amassed 120 plus stories of
Yeah.
people that have been able to get through all of this.
Yeah. And some of these stories are written by Cyndi. You're in all three of these books, aren't you? Yes, you're in all three. Yes. And Markus, you're in all three of these with your own stories, and also one of the things that I love about this newest book is the fact that there was always at the end of the end of a section, body, mind, heart, spirit, there was always conversation with you and Coach Peggy on the stories that were in that section. And now there is a comment with each story, which really speaks volumes from the standpoint of the people who have read these stories first to the author and what they have brought to the conversation about all things wellness. I love, love, love these books. They are like, and I've watched like various people throughout the process who have been part of all three books. The attitude, the tone changes. And Markus, you're a perfect example of that. You were quiet when I first met you.
Oh, I was actually a physician burnt out, basically, is with a background of severe anxiety and PTSD, all those things negotiated over time with the mask that you need to be a performing, high functioning individual out there in society, and all of these masks to try and peel them away. That is what I have accomplished through this.
Yeah, and
Right.
you've gotten to the heart and soul of who Markus is, and it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Martariesa, you are a newcomer to the All Things Wellness series, but however, you have incredibly skillfully, heart and soulfully, and I don't think there are enough words to describe what you brought to this book in the foreword that you wrote. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to say yes to the invitation of writing the foreword to this book, and a little bit about your own challenges in your life that brought you here.
Thank you, Teresa. And thank you, Markus, for everything. The reason why I said yes is because I prayed on it and I felt like God really said, use what I've given you to spread. So I said yes. And then it was research, which I love to do. So it was, okay, if I'm going to write this, I need to know more about it. And so reading the first two books and really diving into them, I'm like, my goodness, people need to know about these books. They're wonderful. And I cannot wait to read the third one, just to, finish up that trilogy for myself. But just being able to have those tools, there's so many people in my life that a lot of times they say to me, I wish I could, I just don't know how, or I could if I had this. And it's nice that this book really encompasses that. And a lot of times, people look and they're like, oh, I need this specific thing, or I need to get here, but they don't do those steps in between. And I think the book does a really good job at bringing those stories into applicable ways for people to read and really understand how to get from the one spot to the end spot. And I'm really excited that you did, point out Markus's journey, because I noticed a little bit of that in the first two books. And so I'm really excited to see how it not ends, because you're still here. Yay.
Thank you.
But to just see how the story wraps up in the third book. And so I am super excited about that. A little bit of my challenges, my picture on our little meme that doesn't really show who I am specifically, because what I have is TAR syndrome. And what that basically means is I do not have either radius bone in my arm. So I'm going to raise my arm a little bit just to show you the difference. So as you can see, my elbow is here, my shoulder's up here, but my wrist does come out a little bit more than most. So that is a little bit difficult in life because it's physical. You're seeing that so many times, people with mental illness, you can't see that. Some of the different diagnoses you can't see, and people struggle with that even more than the physical things that others struggle with. So when people first see me, they think, oh my goodness, she must have a hard life, or, oh, she's different, just from that physical appearance. And it's kind of disheartening sometimes because they don't give you a chance. Luckily, I have been blessed with some amazing parents and a really great support system that helped me, encouraged me, and really, compared to a lot of the stories I've read and I've heard, the bullying, I had a little bit, but I had such a great support system that I was able to come out on top every time that it did happen. And I had people who would stand up for me. And so that's a little bit about the why. I don't want to take up too much time in this segment, but is there anything else I can answer right now?
Just one thing I want to say about you in terms of what you just said, and you will, and anyone who reads this forward, and I hope that before you read any of the other stories, you read this forward, because it takes you through the metamorphosis of book 1 to book 3. And one thing I want to say about you, Martariesa, is you have never you go into a little bit more detail in the book about your TARS syndrome, but you have never let anything stop you from what you want to do. You have gotten your education. You have your community. Your heart for community is glaring, and I just want to say thank you immensely for this and for who you are.
Thank you.
And I second that big time.
Yeah. Cyndi Wilkins. Thank you, Martariesa. We'll come back to you in a little bit. We're going to talk a little more. So Cyndi, you wrote in this book, The Space Between. I love the title because I know exactly what you're talking about. And tell me what it was that drove you to say yes, not just to this book, but to this series, and to bring 3 powerful stories into the books and ultimately into the hearts of the readers.
Okay. Well, I'm not one to name drop, but I have to say, originally I got involved in this whole project because I stumbled across Peggy's initial article about her whole idea for this trilogy, and starting with the fourfold formula. And I saw that James Redfield was writing the foreword. And having been, quite a fan of his for a number of years, Celestine Prophecy and 10th Insight, all of it, just being among my favorite readings. I just knew I have to get involved in this project, and I was scared to death because I had never considered, I had been writing online for a lot of years, but I had never really considered actually putting it, getting involved in a book project. I really didn't know much about it, but I thought, what a great way to dip my toe in the water and get involved and get to know media people and do this sort of thing where I'm, out there in digital space and facing fears of public speaking. I think my first interview, I sweated through my shirt so bad. But that was my initial dive into this head first and see where it goes. And then it just kept going from there. When she came up with the wellness war, I realized I had been given an opportunity to dive a little deeper into traumas, facing traumas and kind of working through. I've spent my life kind of journaling and working through a lot of things. So there was an opportunity there for me to share a story about that and bring that to light. And now in G.P.S, I kind of look at it like, Pink's song, All I Know So Far. Like, this is all I know so far. It's awakening to all of the lessons learned. And lessons that I've taught and passed on to my daughter.
That's awesome.
So, that was my initial interest in getting involved in writing in the first place, was leaving a legacy for her.
It's interesting that you say that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that and the power of the story as we go on through this interview. But I appreciate that you said that, because I think that, like you, I I was writing all the time. I was a journaler, and then somebody asked me to share something in a book similar to this compilation type, and I too, and I love that you said that, dipped my toe in the waters of writing, and that's what I tell people. If you don't have to write the whole book. Just write a chapter. Just write a few pages. Start there, and that's what you did, and that's what I did. And now you can't stop me. I don't think we can stop you either, Cyndi. I don't think we can stop you. Let me say hi to Michelle before we go to break. Hey, Michelle, nice to meet you. Nice to see you here. Thank you for your contribution.
Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Good. You came to the U.S. in 1986. Where do you hail from?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. That's quite a distance away. Yes. Do you get back there?
Not as often as I would like.
You have an amazing story. You have an amazing story. And, one of the questions that you ask in here is, what feeds one's soul? And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more. But what made you decide to be part of this All Things Wellness book?
I think what I can say about that is a lot of everything that everybody's already said. There was a call to my soul from a spiritual space based on some experiences that I'd been having to start sharing my story, and I dipped my toe into the water on a previous anthology that, took a year to come about. And then this opportunity came up, and I was sort of like amazed at how the universe connects you to be able to share your story. And it seemed to me that sharing our stories and parts of it was really important, and that even though I'd already done an anthology, there was more to say, and I didn't realize how much more there was to say. So I said yes with lots of enthusiasm, not knowing what was going to follow and not really worrying about it.
It's awesome. You just dive in. You didn't just dip your toe in. You went in head first, girl.
I did go in head first because I really didn't want to limit myself. And I knew that if I had to get to that place of just head first, go all in and see what happens, see what arrives for me while I'm writing.
It's awesome. And that's a really great point. And right after this, we're going to go to break. But one of the things you said, see what arrives for you while you're writing. And not only does it arrive for you, it arrives for everyone who is reading. These stories bring people to places where they didn't know that they could go. I believe that people have healed a lot of parts of themselves, a lot of past traumas, a lot of things. They've changed a lot of things in their life. Markus is a powerful example of that. Changed a lot of things in their life in order to be able to have the life that we were created to have. And I believe there's a bit of that in each one of you. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about your individual stories. But right now, we'll be back after this break. Just a couple of minutes. See you soon.
With the hustle and bustle of today's world, how often do you take time to practice gratitude? More importantly, how can you make it a habit? The Grateful Hearts community is a group of like-minded people focusing on what's going right and being grateful. Gratitude is more than putting a smile on your face and being thankful for the roof over your head. It's about expanding your perception and finding ways to find gratitude for, in, and through the challenges we face every day. Gratitude is a feeling of connection to things higher than yourself, to God, and to others. We focus on light, positivity, and connections. You make a difference. When we join our grateful hearts together, the power of community attracts more people and even more to be grateful for. Expressing gratitude and feeling grateful is infectious, so let's share it. Join our Grateful Hearts community and watch your blessings blossom. Learn more at gratefulheartscommunity.com and join the community at facebook.com/The Grateful Hearts Community.
Are you one of the many people who said, "Someday I'll write a book," but don't know how to get started? Many wannabe authors have begun with the same question and are now published by Authentic Endeavors Publishing, a multi-imprint hybrid publishing company. Whether you're writing an autobiography, a memoir, a kingdom book, a children's book, a business book, or an anthology, we have a place for you. Visit www.AuthenticEndeavorsPublishing.com for more information or to set up a 20-minute consultation. Your title of published author is within reach.
Born Able exists to highlight and normalize the humanity, worth, and abilities of infants and children born with complex medical conditions. We write, illustrate, and publish books for these children and have featured over 1,000 children throughout the world. Our videos and posts have been viewed over 100 million times on social media as we strive to showcase these amazingly abled kids and fight relentlessly for equal medical care, regardless of diagnosis. All proceeds from Born Able books go directly to the Born Able Foundation. To nominate a special kid to be featured in a Born Able book, go to www.bornable.org to learn more.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back with our guests. And Martariesa, I'm going to come to you. What does the phrase "get prepared for success" mean to you? Besides setting goals, what does it mean on all the different levels? You know, the stories are body, mind, heart, and spirit. And so how does that affect you when you think of get prepared for success?
Truly, when I think about that, the first thing that comes to my mind is just getting on my knees and praying, because there's nothing I can do without first seeking him first. And so getting prepared, seeing where he wants me to go, listening to what he wants me to do, and then he will provide what I need. So whether that's, you know, really listening to that still small voice or taking a leap of faith, that is how I would answer that.
Yeah. So I relate to you so much, because that's where I start my day. That's where I go first. Like, you know, is this for me? What do you want me to bring to the table with this? And I think that writing is in your heart and soul. But did you ever think of becoming a writer before you ventured forward in some of the things that we've done? Oh, by the way, Martariesa also has a story in The Daily Gift of Hope. And I think, do you have one in gratitude too?
No, not in gratitude.
No. Okay. And Cyndi, you have stories in these, yes? Did you contribute to these? The one that's coming out next is The Daily Gift of Kindness. And all of you get to write a story in A Daily Gift of Kindness. So I look forward to seeing what you have to write there. But before you and I had conversations about these books, did you think that you were going to be a writer before these projects?
Complete honest answer, no. I would not say I'm a perfectionist by any means, but I do love being organized. So when I write, I want it to really be complete. I want my thoughts to come out nice and to explain whatever it is that I'm trying to get across. So a lot of times I have, it looks like I'm hoarding just a bunch of paper because of so many, little drafts. So I didn't really think of being a writer. I will say that when computers first started coming out back in the 90s, there were a few websites that you could put some poetry online. And I did a few of those just because you could do that anonymously. And I was like, oh, if it's not perfect, it's okay. But
Yeah.
other than that, I really didn't think I had a whole lot to share. I was blessed, that I got to live. You can read more about that in the books, but so I just really just live life. And it wasn't until we started having conversations that I realized, maybe I do have more to share, and maybe there is someone out there that could hear my story and get that little bit of hope.
Right.
But as far as becoming a writer, oh, I love being physical. So being still and sitting and writing, which is kind of not on my plan, but I've
Well,
loved every step of it. So thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And I went to Martariesa first because of the fact that I want to give a little bit of background as to how I met Martariesa. So the commercial that you just heard about Born Able, that's my passion project, writing, helping them with those stories, get those books out to the world. A very dear friend of mine had a baby with trisomy 18, and the baby lived to be 210 days. His name was Abel, Abel. And she was given her purpose through this child to create awareness and to create books that showcase children who have medical complex issues. And TAR syndrome is one of those. There was a woman who got introduced to Jessie, Abel's mom, and she reached out to me to write a book, a series called Emma's Adventures. And it was through Marla, who is the mom of Emma, who has TAR syndrome, that I met Martariesa. And there was something that she wrote on the internet, and I get them now. I get chills. I was like, oh, this girl needs to be in books. I need to hear her story. She really, your way with words, and this goes for all of you, your abilities to is just, I would say eloquent is the word that I would come to for you, Martariesa, and for you too, all of you. Your writing is just like, you start the chapter and it's like, you can't put it down. You take us in, and that's what a good writer does. So when I met Martariesa, and then I introduced her to Peggy, and we put her, she's even in a children's book right now too. So she's part of that. And that's how you never know who you're going to meet on your journey. I believe that God has a plan for all of us, whatever you believe God to be, God, the universe, source, whatever. I believe that there is a plan for all of us, and that none of us are here by accident having this conversation. So yeah, I wanted to bring that to the table.
Amen. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cyndi.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
write about the space in between. Now, so with what I just said, how did you come to the place, your stories before this, do you remember the titles of them?
Oh boy.
Or the nature
Life
of
is
the
but a
story?
dream. Life is but a dream was the first one. The second one, I believe, was The Monster, maybe? It was
Maybe.
about migraine.
Oh, yes.
I don't, I don't think, no, I don't know if that was the title, but that was the premise of
I
the
remember the
story.
migraines.
And this one being the space between is like kind of the culmination of learning of all of these stories kind of put together.
Actually, it says right in your chapter, it says exactly what you wrote in the other ones. It says here in the first book, The Fourfold Formula, I share a dream encounter with my father. As he's passing away, he crossed over to another world while I served as his bridge. Who would think of writing that in any other kind of book but this, where you get an opportunity to be there for someone as their bridge. And win the wellness war. takes us on a journey through the vicious cycle of migraine and the subsequent deep dive that led me into the discovery of its origin. But how good is it that you found out why you're having migraines? I don't think that Markus can attest to this. Regular medicine would never tell you how to get to the bottom of it. They just try and give you whatever medication you needed in order to be able to quell the pain to get through it. Yes?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This story takes us even deeper. Want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, it takes you into the emotional origins of it all, you know, and the mistake that we make is thinking that we can medicate problems away. And that's just, I mean, what we do is we put them off.
Right.
What the medication does for us is it puts things off until we're ready to actually deal with the issue.
Right.
Sure, there's a lot of physical that's involved in it too, but I would say whenever you're dealing with a chronic situation, chronic pain such as this, you're in the emotional body. You know, the work that needs to be done is in your emotional body. And it took me a lot of years to get there.
Yeah. And then this story takes you into a different kind of pain and how to get through it, right? With your daughter.
Right. Right.
And how we treat others and especially ourselves matter. That is a powerful statement that a lot of people do not come to because they're so worried about circumstances that they forget who they are in any situation. Yes?
Right. Right. Well, and it focuses on relationships and in particular, the bullying subject comes up in the very beginning. And how to navigate that space and how to try to understand the mindset of a bully, which I think is something that we need to teach our children when they're young, so that they can for themselves develop, healthy coping skills, to be able to navigate those life stresses and navigate those people that they encounter in their lives, because you're always going to encounter them as children and adults. Because the adults that don't deal with being a bully or being bullied end up, in their childhood, end up as adults that kind of exhibit that same behavior.
Exactly.
The vicious cycle that kind of reinvents itself. So, I love the story that I share in the beginning about the kissing hand, which is a book I used to read to her all the time when she was little, because she was struggling with it. Yeah, the kissing hand. Yeah, the author's name is Audrey Penn. Yeah, it's all about the understanding of a mindset of a bully and why they behave the way that they do as an injured soul. And it was very important to be teaching her this because when she was young, she so, girls, they so want to belong in girl groups. And she was struggling with it, not knowing why she wasn't accepted, why she was excluded from this particular group that she wanted to associate herself with, that she wasn't seeing the shark-infested waters. So it was an experience for me to teach her about the whole bullying mindset. And I think even in an interview that I had with Peggy a while back, she said, you know what, we've all been bullies, man. We've all been bullies and we've all been bullied. So if we can pass that learning on to someone else, especially when they're young, to make their life a little bit easier going forward, to create a little bit more understanding, especially our children, hopefully they can avoid a lot of the obstacles that we encounter along the way.
Right. And you say something here I highlighted. Pain and anger, for example, will stop at nothing to get your attention. It will remain in relentless pursuit until you validate it. It's an offering from your soul to better understand yourself and your experiences of the world. So take that with you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Human spirit shines most brightly when challenged by pain or illness. Yeah. Great stuff. I mean, the writing in this book is just amazing. And that statement that you made here, the human spirit shines brightly when challenged by pain or illness, is going to bring me to a conversation with Michelle, because she has an experience also that is that holds true to that. So Michelle, you want to talk a little bit about your chapter in the book, Origins of Life, you call it?
Yeah. I think that the reason I came from the perspective of origins of life is that I'm from New Zealand and have spent a great many years here in the US, all of my adult life. And when I was faced with a stage 3 breast cancer diagnosis, while I was writing this chapter, I realized that I had to come to terms with my origins of how do I feel about myself? Where does my culture play a part in my life? Are there things in my culture that I can grasp to that are meaningful to help me get through the survivorship of cancer? It wasn't just the initial journey. I think when this opportunity came up, I was on the back end of treatment, trying to find a way to, how do you get through the results of what the treatment does, the lasting effects. That's the phrase that I've learned recently, is the lasting effects of cancer treatment. You know, we get so excited about the fact that there's an opportunity of something to look forward to when you have a cancer diagnosis, and that's getting through radiation and chemo, but there isn't a space somewhere where you can connect an origin to about how to deal with survivorship. So for me, while I was writing this chapter, I had to go back to my origins, where I came from, what have I experienced, what have I taken with me on that journey of going through cancer treatment to help me be present to what's in front of me, not necessarily from a future space, but on a daily moment to moment. And by getting present to my origins, the origins of my emotions, of how I cope with life, I found that I needed to dive deep, and that cancer wasn't just about my illness. It was about healing. It was about finding space for myself. It was about reflecting on the good and the strength that I had, and that I'd spent a better part of my life doing some amazing things, but not even amazing as in my capacity to endure, to find resilience, that there were a lot of things that I had been prepared for to get to this place of going through this diagnosis. And I think if we don't look back at our origins, because often we are taught, you know, don't look at the past, it's not going to do you any good. But taking a leaf out of the past, we go look at the origins of the things that help us to be our best selves. What is it that we've accomplished, as in how we've grown, what we've endured? What is our sense of resilience and understanding in those moments in our life where we arrived in a place where we had to figure something out? We had to sit in that moment and we had to learn and grow through that experience, or decide that we weren't going to learn and grow through that experience and just stay stuck. You know, it's about our choices, and how have our origins given us the strength, the courage to be present to ourselves, other people in our lives. How can we utilize those things to serve ourselves first?
Yeah.
And then to serve God and his people in a way that you can inspire and uplift and find the good despite the challenges that you are experiencing. And finding that sense of flow was what that story was all about, is honestly getting honest with your origins, getting honest with yourself, and utilizing those origins to heal and to move forward in a way that it gives you greater capacity.
Yeah. There's something that you say here that I'd like to read.
Sure.
It says, greater insights have arrived during this cancer experiment. I say experiment because it has been a cornucopia of trial and error, collecting the power of words and thoughts for me to call upon. I am deliciously grateful that it gave me the mental capabilities to win the daily battles. If you are unaware, Thoughts are things, and so is the power of belief. Believing in ourselves and a higher power unlocks our true potential. This belief transcends all barriers, bringing out our inner strengths. So our hidden strengths. So, you know, what you just said, that right there, I love those words. First of all, gratitude is my thing. Because the only prayer we ever say is thank you, it will be enough. Right. And I love deliciously grateful, and that you look at this experience as one to grow through rather than to be, as many people look at it from a standpoint of a death sentence. Sometimes maybe things that happen in our lives are just to show us how strong we are and who we were created to be through it all. So, yeah, thank you.
I would have to agree with that. It is, I think that was the most empowering part of that journey. It truly was. I truly was deliciously grateful.
Just words.
Because I remember standing in a mirror really quick where I realized that in that moment, gratitude was my greatest power. Being grateful for having strength to get to a day, being grateful for as many things as I could see. And as the more grateful I became, I realized that my gratitude wasn't just about what I have, but what I had experienced, and how each step of my journey had given me a significant internal opportunity to grow that tiny seed of that strength or courage or whatever the attribute was. That I call them soul languages. Soul languages, things like acceptance, love, compassion, understanding, courage, compassion, gratitude. Those seeds are growing within me, and I had the opportunity to either say yes or no. But in this space of having cancer, it was this enlightening moment of saying, I'm so deliciously grateful for all of my life experiences up to this point, because I can stand steadfast in who I am, that these experiences have given me the aptitude and the attitude and the altitude to move, to grow.
Amen. And in that note, we have to go to our break. We'll be right back.
Do you have an uplifting personal story to share? The Daily Gift Book Series began with a daily gift of gratitude and a daily gift of hope, both available on Amazon. We're looking for people like you to share a story in our continuing series. Kindness, peace, inspiration, and generosity are just a few of the upcoming topics in the Daily Gift Book Series. Your stories matter, and they make a difference. Visit www.dailygiftbookseries.com to find out more on how to submit your story for one of the upcoming titles.
Do you have a personal story of hope or kindness to share? The Daily Gift Book Series, which began with a daily gift of gratitude, now available on Amazon, continues with a daily gift of hope and a daily gift of kindness. And we're looking for people just like you to share a story. Your daily gift of hope story might answer one of these questions. Is there a time when you felt hopeless and someone stepped in to change your view? Have you been an example of hope for someone else? Is hope something that you've always had? If so, how do you keep that hope alive? With hope, we have more energy and a purpose. It gets us out of bed in the morning. Daily Gift of Kindness might be your chance to talk about recognizing and spreading kindness to change the world. Practicing kindness lifts your spirit and your mood, warms your heart, and helps to navigate your way through today's challenges. Has an act of kindness from a stranger turned your day around? Have you ever paid it forward to someone or for someone? Your story matters, so visit dailygiftbookseries.com to find out more about how to submit your story for a daily gift of hope and a daily gift of kindness. Your stories make a difference.
With the hustle and bustle of today's world, how often do you practice gratitude? How can you make it a habit? Gratitude is more than putting a smile on your face and being thankful for the roof over your head. It's expanding your perception and finding gratitude for every opportunity and every challenge. Gratitude is a feeling of connection to things higher than yourself, to God, and to others. we focus on light, positivity, and connections. When we join our grateful hearts together, the power of community attracts more people and even more to be grateful for while making a difference. A grateful heart is infectious. Share it. Join our Grateful Hearts community on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/The Grateful Hearts Community and watch your blessings blossom.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Sorry, I was muted. Dr. Markus, you're in the hot seat.
Oh, no.
You're right about the path to enlightenment. You know,
Right.
I never knew what a gulag was until I read this. Yeah. Gulag is a political spy network. It's designed to find and eliminate dissidents or political opponents. In autocratic governments, the people are commodities or slaves. The so-called leader is typically an aggressive egomaniac, and he may declare war, resulting in the death of his subjects. And this is playing out all over the planet today. And I never knew what a gulag was until that. But now life is so much different. You came to the States for freedom, and obviously you found it, and you're able to. What I love about the fact that, all right, so I have to say this: people have to understand that I know you before, and I know you now before this experience, and you are a transformative. I don't want to say experiment, but you are transformed. In the second book I wrote about transforming from a ball of clay to a work of art. You're ready to go to the gallery, my friend. You are a shining star. Okay.
Why, thank you. No, I'm blushing, Oh gosh. And I thought I had my emotions in control,
And what cracks me up more than anything else is you are quoting Frank Zappa in your story. Do what you want to, do what you will, just don't mess up your neighbor's thrill.
That's basically wrapping it up. That's right. Yes. Very important little message.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Basically, yeah. In this book, I try to share the joy of having had that transformation happen to me. For most people, I think the same experience counts as I went through. You get programmed when you're a kid. You act out all those programs, good or bad, life all of a sudden ends, and then we have people sitting there saying, like, what happened? I'm not done. I don't want to go. I don't want to let go. That type of stuff. What they've forgotten is the pursuit of happiness. That's, the point there is that you got to find out when you are internally handicapped. And I was severely handicapped by all my anxieties and everything else. And, through 30 years of marriage and divorce, everybody has a trigger to start turning inward and figuring out what the heck has happened,
Yeah.
Life in shambles sort of thing, and that's a good trigger. There's plenty of other triggers for other people. But the point is that that trigger is there to get to understand yourself more and realize, in the end, really, in the path to enlightenment right now is the pursuit of happiness in an understanding that we are super powerful creatures, and that everything that we buy into that has been sold to us, oh, you have to take this pill and that pill and so on. For a lot of people, that's true because they can't get out of their current trapped situation.
For most people, is you can't get out of your own way because you're stuck in your head and you don't find your way to your heart. And when it really, what it meant, and you talk about that a lot in your story, coming from the heart changes everything. And I think all of you can agree to that because your stories are so heartfelt. I mean, I was saying to Cyndi when we first came on that I had to read these stories with tissues next to me because I was crying through every one of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's basically for me tears of joy because
exactly.
It releases so much. And the function of having a scientific mind that has been really pounded into a very decent place in society, as an MD, you carry some weight. Doesn't all really matter as long as you inside yourself haven't discovered what freedom, happiness, all that stuff is. Really, you're just doing what you're supposed to.
So this incredible transformation you've gone through, where do you see yourself in 6 months from now?
Keep on walking that path for sure. It's a long one. There is probably no end to it. At some point in time, it falls off into a different realm. That's okay.
Yeah,
We're all ready for that. As long as we're ready for the transition, and that's the next big thing. I see too many people not being ready to do that transition. Fear of death.
Yeah.
Once you shed that as one of your anxiety creators, the happiness and freedom can flow in and replace all that BS.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree with you completely. Thank you, Dr. Markus. If people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Oh, I can give you my private email, mwettst@gmail.com. We'll try that. But most of it goes through my co-author, Peggy Wilms, and allthingswellness.com, peggywilms.com. That's basically where I do most of the work because I'm not really intensely plugged in like a lot of people are. Okay, yeah. I take all this along with everything else, so it's not my life. Let's put it that way. So I don't really have any major web pages and things like that. I think I have a Facebook page. That's about it. Yeah.
That's about it. So so if people want to find you on Facebook at Dr. Markus Wettstein, and if you want to get in touch with him, just go to the allthingswellness.com website, and Peggy will get the message to Dr. Markus. Michelle, where do you see yourself in 6 months from now that we've gone through this whole process of you becoming a contributing author to this book? What do you see yourself doing next? What's like 6 months from now?
Well, I'm in the process of rebranding my radio show. I didn't talk about that, but I had an opportunity because of the anthology book and me sharing my experience through my cancer journey. A local radio station down in New Zealand picked me up. So in 6 months, we're having more conversations about how people can move through, grow into, and share their moments, share parts of their stories. I think that's my biggest focus is, sharing the message to where we all have a story to inspire each other. I mean, I like what you're doing. You've inspired me to this evening. I mean, I've got gobs of notes on a post-it on my desk about things that have just enthralled me completely. I think that there'll be more opportunities to write because I'm getting a great sense that although I may think that my opportunities to share my message, my inspiration is like there, it's not there, that the universe and God has something planned for me. I may not know what it is, but there is something out there, and it's just like what you said. We've all connected for a reason today, and I truly believe that. So,
amen. How do people get in touch with you, Michelle?
You can hit me up on Facebook, Michelle Lange. I have a Michelle Moments page on on Instagram, and you can email me melange4byu@gmail.com, or you can do Michelle Moments info@gmail.com if you would like to get out there and reach me, connect. Share your
Awesome.
story, whatever it is that you would like to share. I would love to talk to people and listen to their stories and share with others.
We have literally 2 minutes left, so we'll put all the contact information in the YouTube comments. Cyndi, real quickly, how can somebody get in touch with you? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're muted.
Most effective would be my my email address, Cyndi Wilkins, CYNDI Wilkins 12 as in the number @gmail.com.
Perfect. Perfect. And
Okay.
Martariesa, how do we connect with you?
Let's go email my first name @gmail.com. So MARTARIESA @gmail.com.
Perfect. I hate to cut this conversation short, but our hour flew by, and we'll see you next time on Conversations That Make a Difference. On the 18th, make sure to get your copy of the All Things
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening. And thank you to our producer, Rachel, and to our station owner, Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.